was just lots of grades. I think a student is entitled to have a proper response to their grade history. And with it, we have over 10,000 grade entries.
Mrs. Anderson is the assistant for Dr. Gosney for his EE 1301 class. Mrs. Anderson does everything to keep the class of 280 students informed and the grades organized.
Mrs. Anderson is such a sweet woman. Every time I go up there and ask for help, whether it be asking for my graded paperwork or if she has anything else to hand out to me, she's just super sweet, always willing to help, always has a smile on her face.
Students also have to submit a speaker assignment every semester to Mrs. Anderson for grading.
He also has what is called a loudspeaker assignment, and that requires a magnet and requires wire, which must be prepared and put in envelopes for each one of this year's 280 students.
Mrs. Anderson spends countless hours a week doing grade entries for the 280 students in Dr. Gosney's class.
I think about it very much because it's just a few minutes here, there, and yon, but you're picking up one person. The assistant, Mrs. Anderson or Mrs. Hennessy, is putting the response in 280 files. So all of that takes time. Entering the grades, making grade entries into 280.
Mrs. Anderson is only working for Dr. Gosney on an interim basis until he can find a permanent replacement for Mrs. Hennessy, his former assistant. Despite Mrs. Anderson only being there on an interim basis, Dr. Gosney needed one word to sum up Mrs. Anderson: invaluable. For SMU TV, I'm Andrew Hattersley.